TOA community, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Robert Linkul, trainingtheolderadult.com. I hope you're all doing great and things are going well in your neck of the woods. I want to dive into a pretty serious topic today. Before we do that, just a quick announcement about our eccentric course that's coming up on March 23rd. If you are a strength coach, personal trainer, physical therapist, anybody working with aging bodies, then we definitely encourage you to take a look at our eccentrics training course. Lots of details on trainingtheolderadult.com. You can check us out there. All right, my good friend John Thomas and owner of TOA Shingle Springs, a new location that has come to our local area here beyond headquarters, beyond where we have our little in-house. We have a TOA that's coming into our area here, so all of our locals will be able to have a facility to go into. John messaged me the other day and he goes, "Have you seen this?" And I said, "No, let me take a look." And so I dove into this link, and basically what we found was the United States Department of Health and Human Services has partnered with a couple different organizations, and they have launched a national sarcopenia awareness campaign. This came out and was published in August of last year, 2023. It has not made a ton of noise just yet, and so I wanted to help spread this, but a couple of things with this before we get into it. There's probably 2 or 3 statements that are made in here that I've been saying, and this isn't to toot my own horn, but I've been saying for the last 2 or 3 years, okay, that this is coming down the line, this is super important, we need to pay attention, etc. And then it also makes a statement specific to one of the genders being much more susceptible, and I don't know if that's exactly true. So, and then there's one line and one word that I really have an issue with, and I wish it didn't get in here, but it's 99% all positive, great info, except for this one line, one word really is really my only problem, but we'll get into all that here. Overall though, super positive, very excited, and we are going to spend a little bit of time discussing. So buckle in and let's get into it. Okay, the United States Department of Health and Human Services, in the Office of Women's Health, the OWH, have launched a new nationwide campaign, Stronger Than Sarcopenia. I love how they do the how to say it, Sarcopenia, to make sure everybody knows it. This is great because as they say in here, they'll say everybody knows about osteoporosis, everybody knows about obesity, but they don't really know about this. So we're raising awareness. Awesome. To raise awareness on sarcopenia in women. Okay, I'm going to show you some stats to show that men are just as susceptible to this. It takes, and it does more to women to lose muscle mass. I think that's where the target is specific towards women, but it is doing significant damage on both sides, okay? And this is an official disease, and so we'll show you the stats and when it was declared a disease and why, and we'll get into all that here too. Okay, a condition characterized by the loss of muscle mass, strength, and function. That's where most people think sarcopenia is just the loss of muscle mass. Well, that's atrophy. You start to lose muscle mass, but you're losing function. Like you can't lift what you used to lift. You can't stand like you used to stand. You can't walk at the pace you used to walk. You can't go up and down stairs or get up and down off the floor. Those are all functions that we start to lose, okay? And then that function in adults 65 and older, they even say in here it's addressing and starting to affect people in their 30s. So that's kind of typical later in life, but not always, okay? Sarcopenia can significantly decrease a person's quality of life. That's one of our slogans right there, and lead to other health problems, including a risk in debilitating falls and fractures. So they go into the studies and they talk about how challenging this was and how big of an impact the pandemic had, specifically March 2020 through about July 2020, where everybody was asked, stay home. It started as 2 weeks and then it went from there, and don't go anywhere and don't really exercise, don't go do anything, just stay in your house, okay? Now, we're not gonna get political and discuss all that, but my point is very few people had home exercise equipment and very few people were motivated to even use it if they did. So that 3-month window, if you will, caused more damage than I think any other period of time in our lives, where we literally just asked everybody to stay inside and don't do anything. And I know they didn't actually ask that, but everybody just sat inside and didn't do anything for the most part, okay? For the most part. Some people made life-altering changes to their life for the positive, but not most, okay? Sarcopenia is often made worse by the lack of physical activity. It isn't often, it is. Sarcopenia is 100% made worse by the fact that you're not being physically active, okay? As our understanding of sarcopenia has evolved, we have continued to learn more about the causes and the effects of the condition. It's important that we keep women and healthcare professionals abreast of the latest information to help ensure the best care and outcome for our patients, okay, says Dr. Rachel Levine. So men too, okay, definitely, but aging bodies, anybody, everybody, as we're aging, you need to be kept informed of the most current information on this. And I'm going to show you some articles from as far as 10 plus years ago that really highlighted that this was a big problem. It just hasn't really come to light until now. So they talk a little bit further about the medical components to this, peer-reviewed content, etc. The public is likely familiar with bone health disorders like osteoporosis or osteopenia. But muscle health disorders like sarcopenia can be equally as impactful on women's abilities, let's include men too, women's abilities to maintain function and mobility as they age. That's a key component to this, that mention of the word mobility. Because if you don't have the muscle mass to move your body around, you're not going to be able to move around as efficiently. So you are then losing mobility, balance, stability, coordination, reaction time, gait pace, posture, every little bit of every piece that holds together to help you stay upright when the slightest moment of imbalance occurs that ultimately leads to you falling down or not, okay? So I'm so glad they put that word in there of mobility. Simple changes to daily routines such as lifting light weights. Why did you have to put the word light in there? Everything else about this was fantastic. Everything else about this was great. This feeds that stereotype that you have to use the little pink dumbbells, and I can't stand it. So please just ignore that fucking word. Just pretend that's not even there, and let's just read that as such as lifting weights, okay? Really, it would be awesome if it said heavier weights or progressively heavier weights, but I know that might be asking too much. So let's just say lifting weights. Light weight resistance training won't get you anything, gang. It won't get you anything. You know what you're already doing? You're moving light weights around. You know what people are already doing? You know what aging bodies are already doing? They're sitting in classes right now as we speak, and they're using little pink dumbbells, and they're seated, and they're doing little tiny curls and little tiny extensions and these stupid upright things and all these other exercises. They're playing pitter-pat with balloons. They're doing little resistant bands. They're doing all these exercises with the tiniest, lightest little weights, thinking that they're doing enough to fight off sarcopenia, and they're not. You must use overload. You have to. You have to. If you want the bone density component and if you want the muscular stimulus, you have to use overload. Our bodies are already used to light load. Look, here's my 2-pound remote. I can do this shit all day long, baby. All day I can do that. Why? Because it's not an overload. But the mindset is, well, if I use these light little weights, I won't get hurt. So then you do 1,000 reps and what happens? You get hurt because you overused it. You abused it in that term. Either way, there's a risk, okay? But where's the actual benefit occurring? In moving the heavier load. Don't be afraid of heavy weights. You lift them all day, and I'm going to prove it to you at the end of this video. So stick around for that. I'm going to prove it to you at the end of this video, that you lift heavy things all the time. And you know what hasn't happened? Your shoulder didn't blow apart. Your back didn't burst into a million pieces. You haven't been hospitalized permanently. You don't have a disability because of it. So why do I get all fired up about that line? Because that's feeding. These are the people that are telling everybody about the problem. And then here's the solution, but you just fed into the stereotype that led to it in the first place. So not light weights. Lift weights, lift heavy weights, please. That would be ideal. Okay. Such as lifting weights a few days a week and increasing protein intake. That's awesome. That can help women and men maintain a region or regain, lost muscle mass to more easily engage in everyday activity. So I got all ramped up, I can't even read anymore. Studies show that more than 45% of the US older adult population is affected by sarcopenia. That's basically half, okay? That number, that 45%, was pre-pandemic. That's a pre-pandemic number. So what do you think when we all sat down for 3 months, what do you think happened? Did that number go up or down? It definitely went up. I bet you it went up a ton, okay? I bet you it went up a ton. So millions of older adults have sarcopenia. Millions of middle-aged adults are trending towards it, and young adults are already developing all of the strategies and all of the regular daily life activities that lead to sarcopenia, which basically include sitting all day, not exercising, doing too much, gaming, phoning, computering, whatever else. Whatever's done right here in front of us, not getting us up and being active. And there's stats just across the board that show that our younger adults are not nearly as active as they need to be, let alone they should be, let alone where they were 10 years ago or any decade prior to. We are the most sedentary we've ever been at every single age across the board, okay? So that really leads to the major problem with this whole thing. And then descending off of all that are all these other diseases and injuries and issues and everything else. But at the base of it is the loss of our muscle mass. Okay, and then the Stronger Than Sarcopenia campaign encourages women to speak to their healthcare providers about sarcopenia, etc. So this is a great thing, okay? It's a great thing. We're gonna go to this website here in just a moment, so I just wanna show you how it wraps up. If you want more, go to this website. So we're gonna do that, but I want to show you that this isn't brand new information, okay? 2014, this was one of the articles from Eureka Alert. I've never heard of them before, but they did a whole peer review on sarcopenia and had all kinds of little images and different, I don't know what they're called, GIFs or whatever they are, and any type of little marketing campaigns that showcased what a fall risk this is and what an issue this is and how it's reducing your balance. And this word called sarcopenia basically connects back to, as we're aging, we're not maintaining our muscle mass and these are becoming problems. So that was 10 years ago. Then it's like every 3 to 4 years, there's another big article that comes up about it. And this has kept happening. 2018, the New York Times, preventing muscle loss as we age, sarcopenia, the decline in skeletal muscle mass in older people contributes to their loss of independence. So this is not new information, okay? It's definitely out there, but it became such an issue that it's officially declared a disease now, starting in 2016. You can be medically diagnosed with sarcopenia. You can be assessed by an individual, by a medical professional, and they can say based on, and we're gonna talk about some of the tests and some of the things you can do to see if you are a candidate for this, right? But long story short is, if your grip strength is poor, if your sit to stand score is poor, and if your gait speed is poor, then those are the three that the medical doctors will be able to utilize and tell you you have sarcopenia, okay? Or experienced strength coaches or personal trainers can do the same. So there will be some others that you go, oh, maybe I do have this, or I should, but basically it just says, if you are any of the following, go talk to your doctor, right? So this is definitely something that we have to address. Now, let's go back to that line that showed, women more than men, that kind of a thing. This is from a study that was done, I want to say in 2011. It might be 11 or 14, one of the two. Okay, and then in there, this is highlighting at what age group, male, female, how many people, and I want to say there were, I don't know, like 250 or 300 participants in the study. The black lines are the men in the groups, and the white are the women. So at the younger ages, 60, 65, 70, women for sure are higher candidates for sarcopenia. As we get older, 75, we're almost equal now. 80, women jump up again, but 85 and 90, guys take the cake, okay? All the way up we go. Now, a couple of things go into this. Number one, ladies in their 60s, 50s, 60s are going through premenopause and then menopause and then post. So through that process, you are having your testosterone levels, hormonal testosterone levels are reduced greatly going into menopause. And then as you get into menopause, your estrogen levels are going on. So both of those are super important to help you maintain muscle mass. So we can see why those numbers go up. Gentlemen, guys, in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, assuming everything is still working right in your body, you're going to maintain a certain level of high testosterone that will help you maintain your muscle mass. When do we really see men's, typically, when do we typically see men's testosterone levels start to really drop and fade out? In the 70s, when you start to see the men's numbers start to rise. But definitely by 85, 90, testosterone levels are super, super low, and they're not exercising the average individual, so the muscle mass loss just skyrockets, goes through the roof. Now, this is old information. These stats are, again, from 15 years ago, I think. So since then, we have had the medical intervention of testosterone therapy replacement, testosterone replacement therapy, TRT. And for men and women, a lot of people don't know that, they're doing a little tiny bit of testosterone for a lot of ladies going through menopause, and that's helping a lot, okay? It's helping a ton. Now, to give you an idea, like the average male testosterone score is from 250 to 1,000, like somewhere in there you want to be is a good. That's this huge range, but at least if it's over 250, you're good, okay? Ladies, they're giving you like 10 to 15. They're like, it's like a drip of testosterone compared to what the guys get. And it helps quite a bit in managing all the uncomfortableness. I'm not even gonna speak to it because I don't know, the hot flashes and sleeping issues and cognition and everything else. Testosterone's helping quite a bit. And so this medical intervention of this is hopefully going to help establish higher muscle masses for both sexes, right, as they start to age. So we're hoping these numbers will really start to modify from there, okay? Now, this article, this one I found was February 2022, publication trends for sarcopenia in the world, okay? A 20-year bibliometric, Jesus, I butchered that word. A 20-year bibliometric analysis. I didn't practice that one. Bibliometric, I don't know. Anyhow, 20 years of review that they went through on this analysis. And this is the stat that kind of comes up from this. This scares the shit out of me because, yes, it's a 20-year window, but look where we started at in 2001. How many people reported having sarcopenia? So, I mean, you can barely even see it. And then look at 2020. I mean, the numbers have skyrocketed, okay? And then they start to look at it worldwide, and of course the US is leading the world in sarcopenia. It's because they don't have a ton of statistical information in any other countries, not a ton anyhow. They're slowly starting to catch up. You see the numbers, and again, I know it's hard to see it. This was the best picture that I could get out of this that represented and gave people information as to where the stats and the research are being pulled from. So this one showed the top 25 countries, and the US was number one. So this isn't just a US issue. This just isn't just a women's issue. This isn't just a men's issue. This is an everybody issue, and it's not just an older population issue. It's from 30 up, okay? There are people, I know two people independently, both female, in their 30s, knocking on 40, but in their 30s, that have been diagnosed with sarcopenia and osteopenia, okay? Both of which are on resistance training programs in our TOA program and rucking on a regular basis wearing a vest, okay? Going on walks with a weighted vest on and trying to improve not only their bone density, but their muscle mass in their late 30s, okay? And that's just people that I know, okay? Two people, well, three, actually a third one, she's 41, but right there, okay? So that gives you an idea of like how early this can happen in life if you're not contributing, if you're not doing something to help improve your quality of life with this. All right, so let's go back to this website, okay? Let's go back to womenshealth.gov sarcopenia and let's see what we get. So here's the landing page that they bring you to here. And it says beginning at age 30, the body naturally starts to lose 3 to 5% of muscle mass per decade. Okay, that's natural. Now, if you do something about it, if your resistance training, if your intake on protein is high, if you are pushing yourself in the weight room, if you're challenging, it doesn't have to be that much, but you are going to get some type of decline, okay? And it can basically worsen and become bigger chunks if you don't resistance train. So they say in here, this may cause trouble in daily life activities like standing up from a chair, walking, twisting a lid on a jar, carrying groceries, and then over time, the loss of strength can lead to falls and injuries. Currently, it's estimated that 10 to 20% of older adults have sarcopenia. That's way higher, although it could be even higher. And the diagnosis and treatments of sarcopenia are not yet common. Well, there's a very simple and very efficient way to actually battle this, and we'll get into it. Now, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see all these links that kind of take you through the most commonly asked questions. And one was, what is the best exercise to prevent sarcopenia? Exercise can help your overall health. Specific focus on muscle strengthening and resistance training is the best way to maintain your strength. As added side effects, doing this kind of exercise will give you more energy and may boost your mood by reducing stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, okay? And then they give you links at the bottom here to help you figure out how to do that. So then we follow those links and it brings us here. So here's the first one, ways to address sarcopenia, and it gets into exercise and starts to talk about resistance training and your diet and what to do here. Now, how to get started. Try a manageable routine that you think you can do regularly, starting with 1 to 2 days per week. Enlist a friend or a partner to join you. Great idea. And by having a partner in your effort, you can help each other stay motivated and accountable. Awesome. Work each major muscle group, including your arms, legs, abs, back, and chest. If you are unsure of how to do this, go to the National Institute on Aging, their YouTube page. It's a great resource to learn what to do, okay? Here's page 2 of that one, where they go into resistance training can be done using bands, weights, or body weight. No, not body weight. There would be no resistance, okay? Yes, I know all of you out there say, well, you can get in great shape with your body weight. I know. We're talking about extremely deconditioned individuals. Body weight training is not for beginners, gang. It isn't, man. If body weight training was for beginners, everyone would be able to crawl around on the floor, squat all the way down, put their butt to their ankles, and stand back up. You'd be able to do push-ups, pull-ups, inverted rows, planks, handstand push-ups, walk on your hands, backflips, cartwheels. You'd be able to do all that fancy shit, right? And then go and get any deconditioned, unfit person and say, try to do any of that, any of it. They can't. They can't do any of that stuff. It's really difficult. You know what they can do? They can move 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds. They can push and they can pull, they can lunge and they can squat and they can twist and they can do all the movement patterns. They just can't really do it with just their body weight super efficiently in a big full range of motion. That's actually going to help them get strong. So where do we start with resistance training? With resistance. Basically using bands and or any kind of weight is the greatest place to start. And then as you get leaner, as you get stronger, then the body weight stuff actually becomes quite challenging to do. But why do you think it's so hard for even really fit people to do push-ups and pull-ups? Because it's difficult to manipulate and move your own body weight around. It's really hard. I weigh 250 pounds. That's heavy. That's a lot to try to do a pull-up with, right? But I can move all these weights all the time. There's different goals for this, but we always think that no weight is the easiest, and that really isn't the case. Lighter weight, really lightweight is the easiest, and then we'll build it up. Your body weighs a significant amount, especially if you're overly, if you're carrying excess body fat. So keep that in mind as you get going. And I'm not saying like go for walks and all that. Absolutely. You got to work with what your body is, right? You got to work with that. It's not a problem. I'm saying if you want to start resistance training, like they're saying twice a week, yada, yada, lighter weights to start. But as you get better at this and you start to realize these light weights aren't challenging me anymore, up the weight and then up the weight and then up the weight. And at some point, you're going to get to the point where it's like, I can row 100 pounds on this cable machine and I weigh 115 or 120 pounds. I think I could probably do some body weight work then. Now we're talking, okay? All right, they give you some other links, AARP, National Council on Aging. We're gonna dive into that one in a minute. They talk about nutrition and a couple other things that you could dive into from there. okay? The other thing that they give us here is a home exercise workout chart and training program, and this is actually pretty good. Resistant bands right away, I love it. Using the wall for push-ups and then modifying them. I've never liked wall push-ups, but I think like a countertop push-up could be fine. And then your arm curls, use weights, just buy weights, everybody, just buy weights. Even if they're adjustable weights, I think some of the best weights out there are Power Block adjustable dumbbells. They are awesome. They're fairly inexpensive for how many sets of weights you get. So save up a couple of months, buy a set of Power Blocks, and you're good to go. Using the whole soup can thing, that'll work for 1 or 2 workouts, and then you're like, okay, I can do more. Squatting, using a chair, or having a chair behind you at least is a great way to start, to be able to start to push your legs. Lunges or gate steps, and then walking. Walking in a swimming pool, I mean, it's fine. You're like super buoyant and very light. You're a third of your body weight in the water. So if you need to start there, that's fine. But try to, use all of gravity's advantages or disadvantages in this the case, and use it as a additional load. Side twist, not a huge fan for aging bodies twisting, especially in that V up position like that. That can cause more harm than good. But planks are great. Side bends in your wheelchair, I guess so. Sit-ups, terrible. Don't do sit-ups. That's the worst one on this thing, especially with your feet off the ground. Definitely don't do those. Remember who I'm talking to. Remember, we're not talking to 20, 30-year-old, totally healthy, fit bodies, okay? We're talking about aging bodies that have arthritis, that have osteoarthritis, that have obesity, that have sarcopenia, that have all these health concerns, and then you're gonna lay on the ground and try to do sit-ups. You're gonna create a hernia, you're gonna dislocate a hip, you're gonna bulge a disc, something bad's gonna happen from it, so don't do those, okay? Now, yes, I'm having a little bit of fun with that. A lot of folks out there love to take every word that I say a little bit too serious. I'm having a little fun. You won't dislocate your hip doing sit-ups, okay? Cat and cow, any of your yoga poses, all great. Tai Chi, awesome. Knee raise to the chest, awesome. Knee to chest raises from the lying position, awesome. And Supermans and that kind of thing. If you have any kind of lower back or neck issues, I wouldn't do those. But working in the supine face, or excuse me, the prone face down position is rather difficult for aging bodies because gravity's winning and you're being warped forward. So rowing and working with weights to get you into those positions usually are a little bit more efficient. And then body weight squats to get your glutes, yep. And then lunges or going up and down stairs, that's all fantastic. So I thought that was pretty solid, okay? Pretty solid. Now, one of the other questions came up, is playing tennis regularly, is that enough for prevention? And they just uproot and go, hey, tennis is awesome, it's great you're moving, but no, you have to resistance train, okay? With that said, cardio activities are not enough to prevent sarcopenia. Adding strength training exercises shows the most promise in preventing sarcopenia. And then you can go back to that same one I just showed you is the link they have there. I don't really feel interested in fitness enough to exercise. And then is this the only way to keep muscles strong? And they're like, you can start with a simple exercise program where you're just sitting down to your chair, your scooter or whatever, and slowly start to build up. But no, there really isn't anything to replace this. You have to lift weights. You have to move load around if you don't want to get this disease as you age. And I love it, okay? But they give you some idea, hey, get a partner and stay motivated and make it fun. And go to join a class or get a trainer or like do something that will help you be accountable and manageable and learn how to do this because it's not easy. It's not easy to just go out and do it or else people would all be out and doing it, okay? Now, they give you a screen for sarcopenia. And in this screen, I thought it was rather unique how they kind of did this. And they're like, if you have any of these things, then you should probably talk to your doctor. How much difficulty do you have lifting and or carrying 10 pounds? That's a big one, 10 pounds. The next one is 18 pounds or 8 kilos has been one of the two numbers that are used often to kind of get like a baseline understanding of what kind of strength you have. Do you have difficulty walking across a room? How much difficulty do you have transferring from a chair or from your chair or from a bed? How much difficulty do you have climbing a flight of stairs, 10 stairs? And then how many times have you fallen in the past year? Notice the fall one, it's 1 to 3 or 4 or more. So they give scores. There's a number for each of those. If you had some, it's a 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? And then if you had more of anything on the other side, it's 2 points. So if you have more than 4 collectively across the board, then they're like, you should talk to your doctor about sarcopenia. So how many times have you had, or how difficult is it for you to pick up 10 pounds? Let's say you're like, it's kind of hard. Okay, we'll give you a 1 there. How difficult is it to walk across the room? Not very. Okay. Do you have trouble getting up and down from chairs? And I grunt a little bit, but no, not much. Okay, cool. Do you have difficulty climbing stairs? Oh yeah, I have a lot of trouble. Okay, there's a 2. How many times have you fallen in the last year? All right, 2 or 3 times. Okay, so there's another one. So there's your 4 right there, just from that. Okay, I have trouble getting up and down stairs, and I'm not great at lifting weight off the floor, and I've fallen a few times. Right? I mean, I can think of every family member in my family, anybody that's 65 and up, they've all fallen in the last year, every single one of them. And that's a significant number of people. And that's a number of people who all also do resistance training. But the ones that all resistance train survived their falls with either no damage or minimal damage. And then the others, the ones that don't resistance train at all, catastrophic injury, major injuries, very hurt. Okay, quality of life completely in question, regular life routine, very changed, very much so changed, okay? All right, so if we continue on with this, they have another one at the top that was like defining a little bit more what sarcopenia was. So they shared that one and showcased that one. And then they give you some more tips here on how to get started. And so I did a little zoom in on this one. And again, trying to find a manageable strength training routine that you think you can do regularly, starting with 1 to 2 days a week, hitting all the major muscle groups, higher protein diet, and list a friend to help you. I love that they are just constantly encouraging everybody, you got to get strong. You got to get strong. You got to get strong. Hey, could I just play tennis? Nope, you got to get strong. Hey, could I just swim? Absolutely not. You got to get strong. Like, no matter what the question or the response was, this national governing body that is now publishing information to go out all over the place around the world is telling everybody you got to lift weights to get better at this, to get yourself better, to put yourself in a position where you're not going to get this disease of sarcopenia. So when I first started, I was like, there's a couple of things that I've been saying. Number 1, we've been preaching about sarcopenia for a decade, okay? Number 2, we talked about the pandemic and how hard those 3 months were, and they hammered home on that one too. And number 3 is we're constantly fighting that stigma of light weights or body weight is the best place to be, and you don't need to go any heavier in that, blah, blah, blah. Basically just dismissing the whole idea of progressive overload. And in this, other than that one line where it said light weights, everywhere else it's just been strength training, strength training, strength training, and I love it, and I love it. I'm so happy they didn't put light on all of this stuff, because I think it would have ruined a lot of this. It would have ruined the message. So I'm really happy. I'm super glad that they did it. I clicked on that National Council of Aging website. It brought us here, okay, and I wanted to show you that. And they did give a little more information, their top 5 tips for older adults, and it was, making sure you're sleeping, you're getting all your proper nutrients every day, you are resistance training, you're out walking, 150 minutes of cardio or activity. Like, they were hitting all the basics, everything that we kind of preach about. And then they had a link to a couple of different organizations that said, hey, here's more information on how to resistance train and how to lift, and if you need to find somebody in your area. And some of them worked really well. Others, they went to no links at all. So I think that's still, my guess would be it's still under development, okay? All right, so last little bit here. This is the, getting a little chilly. This is the disability threshold chart or image that I like to use the most. There's a very, very basic one that I feature often with 2 blue lines, but this one really helps drive the point home. And I think this is one of the better ways for us to really deliver this message. This is our best way to deliver this to all of you. Okay, so the development of strength and function is going up our y-axis here. Our y-axis, and then our x-axis going across x and y. Yeah, I think that's right. Anyway, our vertical axis going up is your muscle mass and function. And then our age is going across the other line, okay? So the disability threshold line, that little dotted line in the middle, that is the cap, that is the marker line for you are now dependent on someone else to help take care of you. You can no longer take care of yourself completely under your own power. So you could even call it your ability to stay independent line. And once we cross into that, very few people go back into independence after they've crossed into this threshold, okay? Very, very few. So let's say someone who has extreme sedentary behaviors, never exercises, constantly sitting or laying down, does absolutely nothing, basically bedridden their whole life. What's going to happen is they are going to reach that disability threshold in their late 40s, early 50s, just to throw a number on it. It's going to happen early. Inflammation in their body, super high. Body composition is going to be low, meaning that they're not going to have any muscle mass. They'll be early indicator of sarcopenia, osteopenia, obesity. Probably they'll have higher body fat composition, but lower muscle mass on that. And their insulin resistance will be very high. So more than likely they'll be diabetic or pre-diabetic, okay? Now, the normal decline is if you're living life and you're walking around and you're just kind of doing your normal thing. You go to work and you kind of do your normal thing, but you don't take any kind of precautions to improve yourself through the aging process. That disability line is going to come in at 65 or 70. Let's just kind of call it there. And that's the black line. Then you have people that have been doing some cardio. Maybe they just walk all the time, or they like to ride their bike, or they like to swim, or that's about it. Okay, let's call it just cardio work. They'll have inflammation responses that will be down because they are active, so that's cool. Their body composition could have different variables. They might have some good muscle mass from biking or walking. They could probably keep, some on their body till later ages, and their insulin resistance will be lower because their cardiovascular system is one of the key components in helping the fight against diabetes and any other cardiovascular diseases, okay? And then you see their yellow line, like they're not going to hit the disability threshold until, let's call it 75 or 80. So you just bought yourself another decade of higher quality of life by simply walking or swimming every day or every other day. Then you have folks that did resistance training and cardiovascular exercise. So they put both things together, and their inflammation levels are down by double. Their body composition is up by double, so they're maintaining their muscle mass, and their insulin resistance is down by double. And look how much longer they last into their 90s, okay, before they reach a position to be dependent on someone else, or they never reach it, okay, and they die before that situation occurs due to whatever other disease or whatever other issue comes about with old age. And that, for me, is the ultimate goal. And I get into this almost in every single video I talk about this, so I won't rant and rave about it too much. But our goal, my goal for my clients and anyone in my circle, is that you can be strong, independent, and maintain all of your own abilities and faculties and do all this until you're 102 and you just heart attack dead. That's how I want it to go. I want it to happen so quick and be over with that you're fine, you're dead. That's how we want it to go. And that might sound morbid, but here's what I don't want to happen, is that at 70, they're so unable to do anything that now they just have to sit in a chair all the time. But they're on medications, and they have all these other medical interventions that occur that keep their body alive, but they can't go do anything because their bodies can basically just sit down, stand up, go to the bathroom, go back to the kitchen, go back to the couch. That's all they can do. And so quality of life goes drastically downhill. They are alive, but they are not living, okay? And that quality of life for that individual, let's call it from 70 on, right? Now, whoever this is, grandma, grandpa, any other people that are left behind in the world, they now have to see this new version of their loved one, which isn't the independent, capable, able, happier person that is now just stuck in bed. And so now 10 years of life could occur with them being that independent or being that dependent on someone else and that incapable of living any quality of life, but they live for another decade. My grandmother went from 80 to 90 in a chair. She lived for an entire decade in a chair. Could not go or do anything. We had to go see her. She couldn't travel. She couldn't do anything. My poor aunts, and especially Aunt Susan, they all just stayed with her and helped her and kept her alive and did all this on a daily basis. But she couldn't go do much of anything. And so quality of life was very poor, right? It was like Groundhog Day every day. Get up, sit, eat, bathroom, back to bed. Just the same thing over and over and over again. Throw a bunch of doctor visits in there. So how good of a quality of life is that? I would rather just die at 70 and I don't need to just sit here for another decade and watch everybody live. I want to live. So if I don't want to just die at 70, what do? We resistance train. We walk on a daily basis. We do rucking. We do golf. We do tennis. We do biking. We just be active. And I don't care what it is, just be active and move resistance. You have to do that. You could lift weights 2 to 3 days a week, 30 minutes, go in and just do all the machines every day. But make sure you're lifting a weight that's challenging for you, and then garden on all the other days, and you could live to be 90 and amazing. Just from that little commitment of, I'm gonna go out and work in the garden every day. Let me spend 30 to 60 minutes outside just working in my yard every day, and then weights every other day for 30 minutes. And you could live to be 90 and completely independent. Do you know the average age of the US individual the average age for death? There's two different stats out there. One's 74 and the other one's 77, okay? Up from 69 and 71. So we're living longer, which is cool, but they look at the medical interventions for those last years, and the medical intervention ages are getting longer. So we're getting sicker earlier, but we are living longer. What does that tell you? That the poor quality of life, the disability threshold line is extending. So we have longer living individuals who can't do a whole lot or can't live a high quality of life. Do you want that for you? Do you want that for any of your loved ones? I mean, why would that be different for a stranger then? Why would I want that for a stranger? We don't want that for anyone. We are all good people at heart, and we want everybody to do well, especially us trainers, okay? Like, we love this so much and love helping people so much that we do it as our passion profession, because we didn't get into it for the money. The money for being a personal trainer, especially in the first 3 to 5 years, is not great, guys. I'll be honest with you. It's a struggle. You have to build clientele and build your reputation, and it takes a long time to get enough people committed to you on a regular basis where you have consistent income, where you can say, I'm being successful. Because some months you're great, and then everybody goes on vacation, and the next month is terrible. And it's just really difficult to get established in this profession. But the good ones find a way to do that and make a very successful opportunity and take that opportunity and thrive with it. They build a great career, and they are paid well, but they do great work. So they deserve to be rewarded for that. It's a challenging profession, but it's super rewarding. But what brought all of us in there's 300,000 personal trainers, according to the IRS, working in this country. You know what brought all of us to the table? It wasn't the promise of a huge paycheck, I'll tell you that, okay? Because when you start in the industry, you're usually working for free or minimum wage. That's what you're working for. With the hopes of, well, if I get a really good clientele, I could do this thing that I love to do, help other people get fit, and also make a living at it at the same time. So I don't have to do another job that makes me money so I can live and then do my passion on the side. I can merge those two things together. Like, we love this so much, and we put so much time and effort into developing our skills and continuing our education so we can constantly help those people around us. And that's why we get so connected to our clients and why we love them so much, is because our commitment into this is just as much as yours. We handshake, we meet in the middle, and we're here committed to do this thing together. So I wanted to share, one more piece of information here with you before we wrap this. And again, I know this is a long one, but I appreciate you sticking with me because there was a lot to cover and a lot to discuss and a lot of messages to take home. When you see this line about the lifting light weights, one more reason why this bothers me so much is that we don't lift light weights in life. We lift heavy things all the time. We just don't really think of it that way. So take a listen to this. Carry from your car into your house. Do you know the average grocery bag weighs 11 pounds? That's one bag, everybody. Do you know the likelihood of both of the bags that you are carrying being equal, bilateral, equal weight? Less than 10%. That means 90% of the bags that are loaded are not equal weight, which means you're carrying 11 pounds in this hand and 9 to 13 pounds in the other hand, since 11 pounds is our average for every bag that you are carrying. Do you understand that you can carry heavy loads, especially if you don't have to move it anywhere other other than just hold it while you walk. This is great for you to do. Why not replicate it in the weight room? Grab a 15-pound dumbbell and a 20-pound dumbbell and walk back and forth. Those are called farmer carries. If you lower your center of mass about an inch and move back and forth quickly, smooth, fast walking steps, you'll get more core activation, and that will help you with fall prevention, because now your body knows what to do, how to lower its center of mass and grip into the ground and brace down and bear down with weight in hand. So if you are ready to move in any direction, your body is braced and getting strong in doing so. This is a life practical application that you are training for in the weight room for things that you do in real life. When do most people fall? When they're unevenly loaded, moving in multiple directions. So stepping forward and back in a controlled environment with no weight in your hands, with everything predictable, a chair right there to grab onto the second that you might need it, is not helping you, in my opinion, in an optimal fashion. So we pick up anywhere from 18 to 26 pounds every time we go to the grocery store. And we carry those into our house, and then we go back and we get 2 more and we do it again. And then we come back and we get the case of water or the jugs of milk or the laundry detergent or all these things that weigh anywhere from 10 to 15 to 30 pounds, and we carry those in. The average purse out there is between 6 and 7 pounds. The average briefcase is between 7 and 9 pounds. The average backpack is between 11 and 13 pounds. I mean, our bags and our gear and our regular everyday things that we move about and carry, they weigh more than the pink dumbbells. They weigh more than lightweight. And we move them all the time. All of your clothes in a laundry basket can weigh up to 20 pounds. Your toolbox can weigh up to 20, 30 pounds. I mean, we move things on a daily basis that are, fairly heavy, that are significantly heavy loads. And we transfer them from place to place. So if we do that on a regular basis, and then we go to the weight room and we pick up loads that are heavier than that, and we train our bodies to be strong and good at those heavier loads, at any given time, without warm up, without any other demands on the body, if we could just say, hey, I need to pick up these sub-maximal weights, lighter than your max, right, that you do in the weight room, the demand for your body to do that should be very low because you've set such a high bar. This is how we don't hurt ourselves carrying in groceries. If you were that frail and you picked up your groceries, you'd be like Mr. Potato Head. Your arms would just pop off, right? Your back would just explode. Like, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, we do this stuff all the time. But then you go to the weight room and you're like, 2.5s, that's all I'm gonna do. That's all I can do, 2.5s, and I have to sit down, and I can't do deadlifts, and I can't reach over my head, and I can't. Why? Why? Because I'm old. Well, that's the mentality that's making you this old, frail Mr. Burns body. If you can start to think, I want to be strong, I want to be independent, I want to build back bone density, I want to build back muscle mass, I'm going to do this. I'm going to kick ass. I'm going to go to the gym twice a week for 20 minutes, and I'm going to do all these machines, and I'm going to find a load that's heavy, that's hard for me to do at about a 7 or 8 out of 10 scale, or a 70 to 80% effort, right? And I'm going to do all the machines for sets of 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. And I'm going to go around again, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and I'll call it a day for day 1. And yes, you're going to be sore. And you wait till the next day and you get up and go for a walk. And then the day after that, you go back to the gym and you do all those machines again. And yeah, you're going to be sore. But the more you do it, the more your body's going to get used to it. And after 2, 3, 4 days, you're going to feel really good about yourself. You're going to feel very happy after you exercise. You're going to feel elated almost. You're going to feel like you're thinking more clearly. And you're going to sleep better at night. You know why? Because your body has a reason to be tired now. You went from, I don't do anything all day that ever elevates my hormonal response, my estrogen levels, my anything, any hormonal response that makes your body go, woo, and it makes it perk up. Holy shit, this was hard. This was challenging. And then you have the recovery after that, and then you get to go to bed, and your body's like, I'm tired, recover, rest. We challenged ourselves today. And then you do it again the next day. So you have these undulations in your day that are high, big efforts, weight room, yard, construction work, chopping wood, going for a big walk, going for a swim, doing your golf, doing whatever, right? That's a big effort. So when you come home and you're like, now it's time to shut it down, I need to rest, your body goes, let's go to bed. But if you're just constantly doing nothing, and then at night you're like, go to sleep. From what? I have no reason to be tired, right? That's why so many older so many older adults have issues with their sleep. And like, what do you know, Rob? You're in your 40s. Dude, trust me. I have had more health issues and health concerns and health problems than the average 80-year-old out there. I won't get into too many of them because you've probably listened to my other stuff and I'm already 50 minutes into this, but just take my word for it. Okay, I am the oldest 43-year-old you're ever going to meet. By far the oldest 43-year-old you're ever going to meet. I know what it's like for you 70 and 80-year-olds. I get it. Okay? And this works. You go out and go for a walk and go and exercise in a class or in a weight room and come home, you're going to sleep great that night. And then get up and do it again, and you're going to sleep great that night. And now your body's going to start to recognize this is our pattern. And now if you can get your sleep rhythms consistent, I go to bed at 10 and I wake up at 7 or 8 or whatever it is, well, now you're back into a rhythm that allows your body to be consistent. Because we have so many different start and stops times in our sleep, and it's all so broken, we don't really have a pattern anymore. So then I'm tired in the middle of the day. So you sleep in the middle of the day. Well, you're not tired to go to bed at night. Anyhow, whole nother talk on sleep. But my point is your exercise is going to help you so much across the board. You're going to see great value in it on an immediate response. Almost with just one session, you'll feel afterwards, man, I feel really good right now. I feel like I'm extra aware and extra alert. That's awesome. Keep doing it. But the first 2 weeks in, you might be sore and your arthritis might be flared up a little bit. Your body's gonna have to get used to this. Just keep doing it. I promise you it'll get better. I promise you it'll get better. If you overtrain and hurt yourself, then you're gonna put yourself at higher risk. So don't do that, right? But just keep going and give like a slightly more than moderate effort. And just keep doing it and just keep doing it. And your body will go, dude, this is something we're doing daily. We better adapt. So let's grow some more muscle. Let's get some more dense bone. Let's give some more energy and then let's recover. Let's give some more energy and then let's recover. And now you're starting to live a good, high quality life because you're capable of going and doing stuff. I've had clients that come in here that have terrible sleep, poor cognition, no muscle mass, awful posture, can hardly do anything, up and down off the floor, step ups, blah, 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 never travels, never goes anywhere. And they're out doing all kinds of cool shit now because they've reintroduced exercise and a stimulus to their life that allows them the opportunities to do so, but it also creates flows in their energy levels. So now they have a demand for sleep and they also have the energy to go out and do. These are clients in their late 70s, early 80s, everybody. It's never too late to start this. This has been a long ranting video. Those that have made it to here, you're a superhero. I appreciate you listening to the whole thing. Basically a mini webinar at this point, but this was a big one. And please, please, please remove this line, this word from your mind when it comes to resistance training. We want progressive overload. Weight that is gradually harder, that we're constantly going to chase just a little bit and keep bettering ourselves as we go. That's enough. Thank you, everyone. I love and appreciate you all. If you have any comments or questions, hit me up down below in the comment section. Happy to have discussions with you, and I will send some links and put some others in the descriptions there to help you find further information on these if you would like. I appreciate you. Hope you have a great day, and until next time, continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia. We'll see you then. Peace.